那如果说我要在这里开始，我还不如就从 OK, it's live. OK, it's live. Hi everyone. Hi, this is Echo. Welcome back to another episode of iChongqing's channel. Today's live stream is about musicians in Cardiff and Chongqing. We are glad to have our guest today, our guest today, Richard. Richard who? I'm sorry.
Yep, all
Richard
good. It's
Frenno.
French.
I'm sorry.
Richard Frenno. Yeah.
It's really hard for me to pronounce your
Me too,
last name.
actually.
Okay, Richard Frenno and Zhou Xinyu. They are both really talented musician and artist. Richard is a UK musician and producer who work for the Cardiff University right now, right?
No, Diane is studying there.
Oh,
I
Diane.
just finished a PhD. Yes.
Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing. Okay. I'm going to start this again. Richard is a really talented UK musician and producer, and he just got his a PhD from the Cardiff University, and also joining us today is his girlfriend, Diane, who is teaching and working for the Cardiff University. And we also have Zhou Xinyu, a really talented Sichuan opera actress and musician in Chongqing. And today we are in the place in Chongqing Sichuan Opera Art Center. We are going to start our show in the Sichuan Opera Museum here. Behind me, we have really variety of this Sichuan opera content of its history, of its cultural components, and we are going to talk about the collaborations and the possibilities of Richard and Diane's about to move in Chongqing, and they are finding opportunities to cooperate with artists and musicians in Chongqing and in China. So we are really curious about how Richard and Diane think about the contrast between Chinese and Western culture, Western music. And also we are about to talk the latest work of Zhou Xinyu's work of her play, the really beautiful The Legend of the White Snake. That's her latest work, and I'm really amazed by this performance, the music, and all these cultural features of this Sichuan opera in Chongqing. So stay tuned, like, share, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous because this is actually my first time to host a show in between Chongqing and Cardiff. Guys, before you guys reach us, and I don't even know we can have a chance to connect the very traditional Chinese music and very modern Western music together in our show. So it's been really exciting for me, and I'm really sorry for the misunderstood. Actually, I was remembering all your informations before we started our show, but maybe it's because I'm nervous.
No, there's a lot to remember.
But it's okay. I think our guests are really, ready for presenting our show today. So I'm gonna introduce Zhou Xinyu here with me. This is Miss Zhou. Please
Hello,
say
大家
hi to
好。
our audience. And can you guys see this really nice theater stage display scenery in our museum? And I think before we start our show, our journey on this Chongqing Sichuan Opera Art Center, we will have to ask. We are really glad to ask Richard to introduce yourself. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and where you are today?
Yeah, so I started my career as a singer in a band, basically. I started doing a degree in creative music technology and then moved into working in a recording studio as an engineer. And from there, I got signed to Sony ATV Publishing as a writer, and then Columbia Records. So I was a touring kind of musician and songwriter we got a number 13 album in the UK charts off the back of a few years of very hard work. And from there, I moved into writing and producing for other artists. So I've worked with many different publishing labels, from Universal to Sony to Notting Hill Publishing, and I've had a gold record from producing and writing with other people. And I'm really interested in kind of collaboration and also production. And my PhD, which I've just finished, kind of focuses on kind of how artists and audiences engage with platforms and things like that.
Okay, so I think this is really important because you just mentioned about your PhD is about the marketing and promotion of your works and of new music. I record, right? There is a really highlight of new music. What is new music in your definition?
Well, I guess my focus is on the new music industry. So that's to do with platform disruption. So new music is very different in terms of consumption. People consume music differently, so audiences have changed their consumption patterns. So I guess my definition is just artists that really fit into that mold of changing the media, the way that they communicate with their audiences, and perhaps how they bring audiences in to collaborate with them in terms of their own creativity.
Really great. I'm going to ask Miss Zhou, what do you define new music or the career that you got yourself involved to? 就是刚刚 Richard 在说，咱们就是他说的是一种就是对音乐的一种理解，就是现在就是他说的一种新音乐的理解。您觉得，新的音乐在现在这个时间，您是怎么理解这个东西？
因为可能我是从事传统行业的，当然我非常热爱，各式各样的音乐，但是可能我更多的了解还是和我们戏剧这一块相关的。但是我觉得，现在新的音乐的话，我们是否也可以借鉴一些新的音乐，怎么样和我们的戏曲可以碰撞出一些火花，可以融入到我们戏曲中，让中国这个博大精深的川剧可以吸纳一些更加流行、更加好的音乐，让这个剧种更丰富、更饱满。我认为是这样子。
So basically, Diane, please translate it to Richard because I'm going to translate to our audience. And it's what she just mentioned is about her definition and her inspiration about the music, the new trends, about how to abstract those new components, new features of the modern music into traditional ones. I think that's how she wanted to innovate her art. And I'm going to ask you, Richard and Diane, to speak a little bit louder because my coworker just said the voices from your regions are really kind of a little small. Yeah. And I'm going to switch the camera so we can, you guys can view this art center of the Sichuan Opera in Chongqing.
我们也有在尝试。
你先等一下，我先把这个。
There we go. Wow.
Okay, here we go. So I think this is cooler, right?
但是我们其实也一直有在尝试，现在用传统的就是戏曲和流行歌曲相碰撞的这样的做了一些这样子的音乐，
哇，
并且有一些呈现，比如说周杰伦的那首歌叫《青花瓷》嘛，天青色等烟雨那首歌，我们就用川剧的方式去演唱一部分，然后再和流行音乐的歌手相结合，他去唱流行部分，我们去唱川剧的部分，它的碰撞出来的火花其实还挺受广大观众喜欢的，也在重庆的春晚上也有
呈现是吗？就是咱们川剧院的，
对，
跟就是用这个周杰伦的歌来合作的。Oh, so Richard, did you know the Jay Zhou? Jay Zhou.
No, I don't.
Yeah, actually, we're just gonna reference that singer today. His famous song《青花瓷》is really amazing, combined the traditional Chinese music.
Yeah, and what Joe was just said, the collaboration of how they used this song as an inspiration to recreate again with these features and highlights of this Sichuan opera is one of their works, and they performance this work at the Spring Festival. How to say this? Spring Festival celebration, gala on TV, and it's really a big work for them. So, yeah, I hope I translated it right because I never heard the song, and I wanted to hear that. And now we are viewing this really amazing. I think I can call them helmet. 这些是属于帽子吗？
对，这些是属于我们川剧的头帽，它是各个行当、各个角色，它的穿戴会不一样，非常的讲究。这些头帽这么多，你看它这个名字，上面那个是王帽，就是要有一定的官职、官位的人才可以戴这样的帽子。
那些是吗？
对对
，OK，
王帽。
哦，比如说 hat for these are like textiles for hats and display an area for Sichuan opera, and that one is for the emperor, and these are like for these officers in this different dynasties in China's history. Okay, so
represent different character.
Yeah, it represents the statues, the appearance, and the characteristic of different roles in the play.
再比如说这个凤冠，是皇后或者说是宫廷里面娘娘才可以戴的。一般的人、一般的角色是不可以戴这个的，它非常讲究。是什么身份你就戴什么样的头饰。
Okay, this one is especially for the queen and the really, really important female characters in the play, I think. These are really beautiful. So basically, this museum collects the textiles and these costumes for Sichuan opera. In this area, we can see 这个是给女生用的吗？
这个是女靠，这个就是杨家将里面的杨八姐，或者说在舞台上刀马旦的扮演者，就是他会有一些技巧的展示，或者说就是玩枪啊，或者说有一些就是城市的打刀啊这样子的，他才会穿这样的服饰。就是武旦、刀马旦就会穿这样的。
其实 so these are like these are 它有什么特色呢？
你看它的后面有靠裙，后面这个东西叫靠裙。
靠裙儿。
对，它身上这些衣服就是叫女靠。
女靠。
对，它就一定要就是穆桂英啊，或者说是就是那种杨门女将里面的杨八姐呀，她才可以穿这样的服装。
Wow, this costume is especially for the plays and the roles in this plays of this.
女将军。
Oh, okay, really powerful women with really strong ability to fight with the enemy. Yeah.
这个是马服，你看它上面这个衣服可能有100年左右的历史了。这个衣服。
Wow, this one has a history of over 100 years.
你看它上面的绣的龙都是用手工金丝线绣上去的。
Okay, it was all handmade, and this dragon is cute. So dragon is like a really characteristic feature of emperor in China. 就是只有咱们皇帝才能用的元素吧？
这个是皇帝可以穿，还有关公。
关公
不是，就是那个
关云长。
花月亮。
包公。
包公可以穿，因为包公是一品大臣的嘛。
包公。So包拯 he is a really important figure in Chinese history. But I don't know how to introduce this guy. If you guys are really interested, I think we can see some comments in our, comments area. If you guys wanted to know the history of Baozheng, you guys can ask us any questions. Because this is the part that I'm wondering through this Chongqing Sichuan Art Center, Chongqing Sichuan Opera Art Center, and introducing you this really amazing collection of the history and the costume and some informations about this place. because we know the Chongqing Sichuan Opera Art Center is a building complex. It's not just a theater place. It combined with stages and courtyards and really featured Qing Dynasty architectural buildings. And this is the one that we choose a place to, start our show today. 这个区域你想给我们介绍的是什么？
这些所有的都是我们舞台上会用到的刀枪剑戟类。
These are all the weapons that the Sichuan opera would use on the stage. What is that? 那个是什么 ？Hammers? Okay, hammers.
是银锤或者说是方锤。
Silver hammers.
会是在国人上有一些技巧展示耍锤，或者说有一些技巧的时候会用到。
我刚刚就想问，就是其实我们川剧当中武术的这种表现也是一个很大的特点。
对，是很大特点。其实戏曲它是一门综合艺术，它唱作念打缺一不可。然后我们会借鉴舞蹈、武术以及杂技的很多的东西元素融入进去，它是一个综合类的一个大的门类。所以学习戏曲它其实是很辛苦、很复杂的一个东西。
Okay, we are talking about the inspiration and how these really diversity component of China's traditional opera and the powerful, kung fu side of its, feature. And she said, Zhou Xinyu just said it's really a complicated system. It formed with different kinds of performances, including singing forms and, 杂技. How can we translate 杂技? I didn't record the name. Diane, do you remember the name of 杂技?
Oh, I think it's, to me, our Chinese opera is more like the Western musical. You need to sing, you need to dance, and you need to read the script as well, plus kung fu.
Wow.
So it's really complicated.
Yeah, and then it requires skills. It requires practice, really, really hard practice. And I have some information, and I wanted to. Wow, the stage is really amazing. 咱们刚刚说了，这个舞台是一个什么呢？小摆。
对，这是一个迷你版的我们的演出舞台。
Mini version of a stage of Sichuan opera stage. Okay.
你看，我们上场是不是？
Oh, that is the interest. That's where they show the interest. And there's a door. Okay, there's the exit. The exit. So, 我们的舞台必须要包含这几个部分，是吗？
对，必须要包含的，就是你上场一定是从这个方向上，你下场几乎90%都从这个方向上，除了特定的一些角色，或者说你要进场去拿一些东西的时候，但凡是你结束了这一个片段，你就一定要从这个方向下场。
Wow, so the stage mainly contains these two doors. This one is the entrance, this one is the exit, and they kind of have this routine path when an actress and actors are entering the stage, and they were entering the stage from this one, and they are all ending their shows from that way. So this is like it's not a, it's like a traditional path. You have to perform like this. There has some rules for that. And
上面所有的这些道具都是皇宫廷御用的。
So all these costumes and stuffs are like for the emperors, for place in theme of emperors and the royal families and royal characters, royal stories. And I have this definitions of Sichuan opera. It is a traditional folk art, and it is really popular among regions like Chongqing, Sichuan, and Yunnan and Guizhou. And we know that Sichuan opera is well known for the face changing. 就是咱们变脸其实也是一个 很大的川剧的特色。
对，川剧特色有变脸、藏刀、吐火，包括变衣服、变服装，在舞台上。
Clothes changing。
对，
他们一次基本上可以换多少？
脸谱的话，它可以12张、18张或者8张、24，最多的可以到24张脸谱。然后变服装的话，一般就是三套。
3套。
对。
So they can change, at the top like 24 kinds of costumes on the stage in a really short time.
It's like ancient magic. They just change
Yeah.
the face of the face.
Yeah, actually,
change the face.
Yeah, the face changing, also including the clothes changing, it's a central component of the performance. We call it 脸谱. If it's do you have this here, this place? This is 脸谱 masks. Yeah,
up to 12 or 20
painted faces. Yeah, and this shows the really characters on different roles in the play, and people used to use hard papers and soft papers to paint 脸谱 in ancient times. But 咱们现在做的都是用那个绢或者丝做的了吗？还是说用别的材质啊？
它其实就是普通的一个脸壳，然后上面这些全部是人工画上去的。
Painted face。
因为川剧的脸谱形式丰富，各种各样的，你看它都会有细微的变化，包括有一些很相似的，它都会有变化。每一个脸谱代表的是不同的人物。
So every mask 一定不雷同。Every mask is different. There are no same mask on Sichuan opera. Okay, these are and Mrs. Zhou just really emphasize this, and it's really a small part of the masks. I'm trying to understand because my family I have two really close family members who play and who worked for the Sichuan opera career. And these are like pictures of your of this stage and this theater.
这边是我们川剧的各种技巧展示。你看他的水发，他的头发立起来了，直接甩立起来了。
These areas displaying the really skillful ways of Sichuan opera performances. How did it do this? 水发功，
对，但是这个是需要练的。就是练这个水发功的话，你可能练上1个星期，你的脖子可以疼1个月，但是呢，它也可以很有效的治疗你的
颈椎
病。
Okay, so to practice this is really useful to cure your spine disease.
对，因为日常生活
takes 1 week to practice. Wow. Okay, these are so we mentioned.
这个大刀走路有没有魔术的成分在里面？它就立在这里了。
Wow.
没有任何的依靠。
How did you do that without any supporting facilities to stand up the knife here? Just like this, guys.
你看它这个敲功，它其实它只有前面的半掌，这个鞋很短，其实只有这么一点。你看，就这么一点。它的后面这一部分其实都是没有悬空的，它还可以站在这个椅子背上，这个需要几年的练习才可以达到。
Wow, it takes several years practicing to achieve this performance. So not everybody can, do the performance in Sichuan opera. 就是咱们演员的话，其实还是有一定的天赋的这种，一定是这种条件的。
一定要有一定的天赋，你才可以进入艺术门类。包括就是屏幕前这位音乐人，就是这位艺术家一样，你肯定有异于常人的对音乐的感觉和感悟。我觉得一定是这样。
So here comes my first question. So how do you guys start your journey as a musician and artist? And I'm gonna start with Richard. Can you please tell us how do you, start your journey and find your talent about music industry, about producing and acting, performance, and kind of stuff?
I very much grew up in around computers, so I guess very differently. And I had a real fascination with recording and writing in a very non-traditional sense. So I'm very much kind of what would be termed as a digital native, and never really used analog or anything like that. So yeah, I had a passion for writing my own songs and recording them, very kind of fundamentally. And as I mentioned, that's what kind of really attracted me to pursuing a career, whatever that meant in music. And it all kind of snowballed. I never really intended on being a singer in a band from the beginning. I just wanted to be, I was very attracted to music. And so leading on from that then becomes kind of a lifelong fascination with the media that's involved in music. I think, you know, you're seeing these beautiful visuals and kind of things like that with more traditional forms. And I think that's kind of also, there's a parallel there with popular music, where there's kind of this sense of identity wrapped around what image it is that you're trying to portray. So I could definitely see a similarity there. So essentially it kind of almost happened by accident, just through a passion for wanting to create.
Okay, thank you, Richard. And so I have another question from your, sharing, is that, do you think, who do you think the most has the most influence in your music career? Is that a question that we can know?
Yeah, possibly. I think it's been different over time. I think fundamentally, perhaps someone like a David Bowie, who you could see adopted visual aspects to what he was doing, and also had an evolving identity over time. I think that's he's represented a really interesting kind of persona in art.
Yeah. And yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
Oh, I saw our audience seems to have some questions there. What is Doctor Who series?
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
They are. Yeah, it's our fan. I think he's mentioned about TV series about Doctor Who, right?
That was filmed
Doctor
in Cardiff.
Who.
Yes, exactly. There we go.
Oh, okay. Wow. So hi Kevin. Hi Pep. You. So all our audience, I think it might, because of the time. Hi, somebody's saying hello to us. Culture shock. Bro. Okay. I think this Trump guy is, from our New Zealand audience. He's really kind, and our audience are always, adding those informations that I would sometimes forgot to mention. And I think these areas are actually displaying those music instruments, and they are really, really important because I think this one is 这个是软吗？
对，这个是软，也是我们在演出的时候常用到的一个乐器，这些都是我们的常用乐器。
哇，软，这是软。
二胡，包括你看的川二胡。
川二胡跟二胡的区别是什么呀？
有区别的，包括就是盖板子呀，就是那种金胡啊和川这个二胡，它都有区别。二胡也分了很多种的。
These are the fews that I would never understand without any explanation. This is the Sichuan erhu. There are something different between the other erhu and this one. It sounds really different when it plays. Wow.
盖板子的声音会更高亢一些。
盖板子 is another instrument, right? Wow. It's called string instrument? Wow, it's another one.
Are they playing kind of with
like
a bow?
That.
Yeah, these areas play in these all the musical instrument of the Sichuan opera stage. 三弦，哇 ，this is beautiful. 那个好漂亮啊。
这些都是遗产了，是很多年以前的，就是捐赠出来的。
Wow.
这些捐赠者已经去世很多年。
Wow, somebody who donated these instruments, they already passed. Wow, you can imagine how old they are.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever tried these traditional music instruments of China?
Closest I've got is a zither. So you play it with the mallets.
It's like yangqing.
Yeah.
Oh.
But that's actually was a Eastern European version.
Yeah.
So I think the Chinese version is probably using a different scale, a 5-tone scale or something like that. But I guess that's the closest I've come. They look quite difficult, a lot of it. I've seen them played. I saw Diane did a performance with one of the more traditional instruments, and that looked quite difficult to play.
Wow. And I think I'm looking forward to watching you to play them, because Zhou Xinyu just told us there is a musician she just met yesterday, and she was in his studio, and that guy is like producing, really modern music, but with some traditional Sichuan opera features in it. And 您是在他的那个工作室是跟他合作的是，您是帮他唱表演吗？是给他录音是吗？
我给他录音。
Wow.
对，帮他录音。
She was doing the vocal part for his work. So I think that one you guys should meet if you guys move into Chongqing.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. You guys should meet that one. 我再把刚刚您跟我说的那个音乐人，我们可以可能跟 Richard 他们可能以后可以有一个合作。
对，他是一个很棒的音乐制作人。他的很多作品都获得了全市甚至于全国的很多大奖。他现在就是在自己喜欢玩这个，他就做了一个录音棚，没事自己在里面邀请朋友过来一起玩一下，录一下。
哦，好，那太好了。So， 那我们就可以往那边排练房。Our next destination is heading to the rehearsal place for this. Of these Sichuan opera actors and actresses, and you guys can see this. We have a really nice courtyard here, and it's raining today, and the weather is nice. And I'm reducing. Okay. I'm reintroduction this place for you guys. I'm gonna, show you guys around here. Oh, it's a stage. When the weather is nice, they are going to promote performance here, and wow.
下面如果再摆上一些圆桌，泡上一壶茶，会很惬意。
Oh, so
可以坐在上面看上面。
So these are like tea areas for tables for costumes for audience in that stage. 咱们的戏台一直都是一个这样的一个尺寸是吗？咱们这个修建
不一定，它只是它是跟一般的古戏台可能相对要大一点点，但是呢也不会大太多。这个尺寸更多的大小可能就是跟以前的古戏台差不多的。
Yeah, somebody is seeing awesome outdoor stages. Actually, we have a video from Richard and Diane. They produce us short videos about the place they are presenting right now, the Cardiff University, I think, in the surrounding area, right?
Yes, it's called the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama.
Yeah.
Where I'm
so
studying
it's
right now.
And it's just next to this beautiful park in the centre of Cardiff called Butte Park. So Diane recorded some video of the park and the college in the middle of the park as well.
Okay, I think I'm gonna play it to our audience since we are both, both in this really beautiful stage place in the. I'm sorry for the rumbling. I'm looking for the video in the backstage and going to play it for our audience here. Where is this? Okay.
Yes,
luckily
so
it was a nice day.
Yes.
So I'm finding the video and asking my coworker to find the video for us. And while I'm walking in this place, this place is a place you can appreciate the opera. Wow, look at the corridor here. And guys, you can see the architectural features of this place here. It's actually really similar to our last live stream show, the one in Huguang Guildhall. Chongqing has a really long history of this migrant movements in China in 200 years ago. So this place is similar to that place. They all adapt this slope form of architecture like that one. The roofs are really slope shaped like this. And and they have some. Okay, so my coworkers reminded me, I just misunderstood this videos area. So I think it's not there. I think the video is not there. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna add the video in our post. I'm gonna post this under this live stream area. So guys, can you guys see that? And I'm sorry. 哦，那边是办公区。
Rather see that.
I'm sorry. You're gonna see what?
I said I'd rather see the this anyway. What you're showing, it's so beautiful there. So yes, it's a fascinating place, isn't it? It's very large.
Thank you.
I think their internet went off.
And we are heading to the rehearsal place, and we are going to talk about some really related music industry related topics. About our second one. So how do you adapt the changes of music and art dissemination to the public than they were before? I'm gonna have to ask Miss Zhou to answer it at the first place. 周老师，就是我们不是之前有一些问题嘛，就是说现在您觉得现在的观众跟以前他们的口味啊，就是或者我们创作的形式和演出的形式，其实都是有一些变化的。您觉得您怎么去看待这个问题？比如说创作的形式啊，演出的形式啊，大家的理解啊。
疫情嘛，我们的演出时间已经变得不固定了，更多的是从线下转变到线上。因为我们也不太希望太久跟观众见面，我们会通过线上的一些方式，比如说抖音啊、推特啊，或者说是微博呀，我们会去进行一些直播，播放一些我们认为比较经典的、值得让观众看的一些剧目，还有一些观众会自发的喜欢的给我们私信的一些剧目，我们会通过这样的方式跟观众见面。然后说到这个观众的口味的话，我觉得这个艺术这个东西它是众口难调的，有的人喜欢的是这类的剧目，有的人喜欢的是现代一点的剧目，那可能还是更多的就是在保留我们传统文化这个大框架的下面，我们会去做一些简单的一些调整，比如说就像之前说的融入一些很现代的元素在里面，我们更多的可能会在舞美啊、灯光啊、服装啊上面去进行改良。但是川剧的剧本它本身就在全国很出名，具有一定的文学价值，所以我们在剧本的创排和改动上，我们会非常谨慎小心，一定要遵循传统，遵循原来的就是一些剧作家的一些心血，不太会轻易的去改动它们。
Okay, I'm gonna translate the first part. Is that she said there are some live streams performance about the Sichuan opera performances of their art center. They kind of finding a balancing way between how the modern audience wanted to appreciate and how they can kept those traditional ways of Sichuan opera, because from the writing side, from the script form, they cannot change the script, really spontaneously, because they have a over 100 years old history of this script. Like the one she just performed, the Legend of the White Snake, and they all cannot change this script. So really they are really careful about changing the way of performance, but at the same time they wanted to find a more, how to say this, more suitable way for audience right now. Whoa, to transform this. Wow， 他们是年龄比较小的是吗？
对，他们都不到20岁。
哎，我想问，就是我们看到川剧里边这种，就是身体的表演 ，physical performance are really important to Sichuan opera。那么我们但是唱的话，唱腔的音乐上的表演是不是同时也要练习？
当然，唱念做的我们每天都有不同时间段安排课程。
So they are
很规范，
哇，
wow,
就是我们不同的时间是排练的完全不同的东西。So every day they have really different practicing schedule for each performance forms. Sometimes for the singing part, sometimes for the, physically, performance part. Like here today. This is the rehearsal place, right? Wow.
今天你会玩的墙花。
Okay. He's gonna show us some skillful way of performance. Wow. You can see this really unique light sparks in their eyes when they are performing. 就是咱们就是川剧演员，我们其实眼神也是要练的。
非常重要。戏曲演员的眼神非常重要。你在台上你需要夸张，因为面对的观众太多，它不像影视怼着你拍。像我们这种，你必须要在台上，你看到某一个点的时候，你一定要放光彩的。所以这个也是需要我们练习的。
Wow, we are talking about their faces. While they are performing in Sichuan opera on the stage, the face should be really dramatic, because the stage is really far away from not far away, I think, but the stage is more of a, how to say, traditional way of performing. So they don't have the camera, they don't have the microphones to expand your voice or expand your faces. So you have to do it really dramatic. I think this works for every kind of opera forms in world, but
question for
他们需要在台下进行无数次的练习，才能够在台上进行那一次精彩的呈现。
好 Diane have a question. Diane has a question.
Yeah, because I was a teacher before, so kind of a similar area, some part of it, like education-wise. Is same as Miss Joe, facing the teenagers and students. So I may just ask this in Chinese.
好。
所以周老师，如果像就是说青少年的话，他们有这个，比如说学习还有就业的方向，就比如说他们是日常，从小在川剧院这样的地方练习，他们的童子功啊、基本功，还有他们，因为我以前有学生要去那个戏剧学院，比如说北京戏剧学院这样子，就是说像你们川剧院出来的这样的孩子，他们是直接去你们舞台就业呢，还是说他们还是需要去北京戏剧学院去再考取一个文凭这样子呢？
他们都需要从小练习，进行一个童子功的练习，然后会非常的系统，进行一个练习。他们毕业以后，他们其实是我们剧院做的一个团带班，就是我们剧院本身向文化委拿了指标过来的，所以他们毕业以后可以直接带标进入我们院团，成为我们剧院的专业学生、专业演员。然后他们有的如果说有想要去北京深造，或者说怎么样的，剧院可能也会支持他们过去，或者他们也会可以通过自主的去考，这样子考过去。但是他们最终如果他们去深造了以后，还可 可以回到剧院。所以这一块的话，剧院对他们支持力度还是蛮大的。
Wow.
Understood.
So okay, so we can see the Sichuan opera as a really traditional art form was protected by government. That's for sure, because these kids they are absolutely talented, and they were like selected into the into this place, into this unit, into this organization, so that they can get trained, they can get more education, and they can work here. But it depends on the government supporting. They are supporting this cultural protection. Since it was included in the national intangible cultural heritage, the protection of this culture has really improved. I think 咱们这个就是川剧被列为国家级的非物质文化遗产，好像是从第一批是吧？咱们国家
肯定是第一批。
Yeah, the really first one on the list to include it as the national intangible cultural heritage in China.
川剧的硬件设施也可以达到国家级的那种要求。
Okay, so if these kids wanted to improve themselves, wanted to get more degrees and higher degrees, they might get support from the government. It depends on their qualities, depends on how their career goes, how they can, improve this whole industry through growth. I think that's really important. And I have another question for you guys. It's about how often do you guys use the social media to update your content and promote your works? Because the reason that I wanted to ask this question is, guys, I wanted to find a connection between this really traditional art form in China, in Chongqing, and between this and Richard's industry, music industry production. So that's why I wanted to, to check out you guys the Bilibili channel and your social media accounts, and I see how you've been, communicating on this, about sharing your experience and your insights of how to promote yourself, how to sign a contract with Sony. That's really unique, because you can't find many producers on Bilibili who can sign a contract with Sony Music, with those really big companies, big music industry companies. So I'm really interested about how often do you use the social media platform, and how do you promote your work on this, and what do you think of this?
Sure. Well, Bilibili was quite interesting for us, because we started as a bit of an experiment. So we didn't choose Bilibili, it kind of chose us. People had an appetite for what we were trying to achieve, which was just trying to inform people not just about production, but also about writing, and coming from a place of experience in terms of the music industry, certainly the Western music industry. In terms of the frequency, we like to put a video up every week if we can. I think that's really important to keep people engaged, but also it helps the algorithm, I hope, to kind of put us in a strong position. But really the channel for us was just about trying to be somewhat educational. And I think it was really gratifying to see there was a real appetite for younger people on a platform like Bilibili to actually want to learn more broadly, not just about their specific genre, but also to learn about the music industry and maybe processes in terms of writing.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this with me. I think there has to be a really connecting problem between me and you, because I'm thinking about this. Is that, can you see the statues in our image?
I can see everything that's going on right now. So yeah, should be able to hope we're coming through.
Okay, then it's just me. I think I can see some connecting problems, and I'm going to enter this again. Please wait 10 seconds. And okay, now I'm back, and I'm glad to hear your sharing about how you've been, active as a content creator, not just a producer, because it's really important. And that comes our, the discussion between the musicians and the artist here in our Sichuan Opera Art Center in Chongqing, is that how do you guys stay positive during the COVID-19? Because Xinyu just told us they were like performing online. They will choose some really classic place for the audience, because Sichuan opera, they have some really long-term history, but they also have audience that wanna， 就是咱们川剧，其实刚刚您说其实是有很多就是一直都在关注川剧的观众的，对吗？他们其实对这种经典的剧目是比较喜欢的。Yeah, so they have really enthusiasts, Sichuan opera enthusiasts about their classic plays. So they will choose these plays that the audience wants. 所以咱们其实可能是会在微博，比如说这些网上去找观众，比如说我们去征集观众喜欢的剧目，去来放，是吗？
我们甚至就像这次我们即将剧院会办一个中国川剧节，我们甚至会在网上寻找戏迷，就是寻找一些热爱川剧的，他就会更多的去了解，因为他看得多了，他了解川剧，他就会邀请他过来尝试，或者说扮演一个角色，或者说过来体验。或者说让他来当就是这个我们会有相当于是粉丝团的那种一个领导者这样子。
So they are not just choosing this place for really familiar and famous for the audience, but also they will choose audience to experience the performance in their theaters. That's really important, because for normal people, for people who just really enthusiast for this traditional art, we don't have much of chance to get on the stage. Yeah, but in this really special period of time, we can get this opportunities to experience those performance in the really professional stuff around us. 就是可能我们会有一些老师的指导，是吗？那种体验，然后我也听说咱们其实有组织一些那种，就是一些其他的海外的观众来参观。我看到之前我们有跟那个 ASEAN 的合作国家有邀请一些在这边的老外来参观咱们川剧博物馆，对吧？
有的，我们前端午节的时候上演了，就是中国的我们传统经典的一个传统大幕戏叫《白蛇传》。
OK，
然后我们就有邀请国外的一些在重庆的一些生活的一些人过来观看体验，然后包括之前也有在线上同步直播，我们利用脸谱中国戏传万里这个活动，然后呢我们就在推特同步向东盟10国50所学校同步直播。
I just see the comments there.
Yeah, you can drop them here.
The theater.
Why do I have 3 frames on it? Alright, okay, we are back. Glad to see you guys. And we kind of have some connecting problems, but now we are back. Okay, so Xinyu is sharing with us about those activities that the art center has hold for, better promoting the Sichuan opera art in Chongqing. They are hosting the Faces of Chinese Opera with into this Chongqing AS Yan Youth Theater Exchange innovative overseas platforms, including Twitter's. The white legend of the white snakes, her latest Sichuan opera work, just released on the Dragon Boat Festival. It's just a week ago, and they live streaming it on the Twitter account to over 50 schools in overseas countries, and I think including Indonesia, Malaysia, I think Philippines, Thailand, Singapore. These really closed countries around China, and I think that's really an impressive way to promote Sichuan opera culture overseas, and that's really important. And I wanted to know, what do you guys think of this? You know, the cooperation and opportunities between you guys. If you guys move to Chongqing, and we can, ask you guys to, meet this really talented musician here, and also with that musician we mentioned, of using this Sichuan opera features into this modern music. And what do you guys think about these possibilities? And why do you guys want to move to Chongqing? I think that's what we really are concerned about. Is there something that really fascinating about Chongqing that you wanted to understand, so that you wanted to move here?
I can answer that first question. So in terms of Chongqing, it's so Diane showed me some videos of Chongqing, and it just seemed like such a fascinating place. It's got this huge scale, but as you're showing, it's also got this kind of really authentic celebration of traditional culture, which I think is quite important. Although when I would first arrive there, I think it would be a lot to kind of digest and understand. I find that there's that celebration of kind of more traditional culture is really important, as well as all of the huge things that are going on in Chongqing in terms of the scale of it. So that was kind of the appeal. Other than that, I'm from a creative industry, so I've seen or looked into the more creative aspects of the city. So, the university town being kind of such a creative hub. I saw there was all that street art that looks really cool. What's that? Yeah, and then there's Testbed 2. So I ran a music studio in East London for over a decade. And Testbed 2 really reminds me of East London. It's got that kind of really creative energy to it. So that's definitely somewhere I want to explore in terms of coming to Chongqing. So it just seems like a really visually fascinating place, but also it's got that weight to it with such a rich depth of culture. There's kind of a tandem of things that are going on now, and as well as celebrating the past.
Because I've been to Chongqing 2018, I think, and it was just blown my mind. And
Why?
It's
How
so
come?
Beautiful because it's so beautiful. First of all, I love spicy food, even I'm Cantonese, but I just loving it, and I had hot pot for 4 days non-stop. And the street food, and food-wise, is just really happy with that. And the scale of the city, just like multiple layers, is proper 5D city. So I will constantly be lost, and in this cyberpunk city, it's just like in a modern fairy tale, really. And to me, compared to Hong Kong, it's a lot tidier in some ways. And now we look back to Hong Kong. Hong Kong looks a bit older than Chongqing, because everything just brand new in Chongqing. And cyberpunk is like the same main theme of the city. Compared to Hong Kong, I think Chongqing is massive. Hong Kong, even the roads are so narrow, so tiny. So yeah, I would love to move there. The minute I got there, I was thinking about that over and over to now. How can I move to Chongqing?
Are you guys wanted to learn the Chongqing dialect? Because I wanted to mention that the really most different part of between Sichuan opera and Beijing or Peking opera is the language, the dialect, the Chongqing dialect, Sichuan dialect is really important. If you wanna, not besides the theater and the art, if you want to get familiar with the local here, you have to learn the dialect here.
It's cool. I love
it. I wanted to share some videos about this, we called it because I wanted to share it because I have a conversation between me and Diane. We are preparing for this live stream, and she mentioned this really trendy song on TikTok. It's called what? I can't recall. Yeah, I'm sorry. It might because my, ear disease. I can't record something. Sea shanty. I'm so sorry. This is sea shanty, and I'm not allowed to play this song because of the copyright. But I want to play a really similar art form in Chongqing. It's called Chuanjiang Haozi. It's called Chuanjiang Haozi. Because this sea shanty is the same thing. It's the labor song of the boatmen and trackers, right? And they are like singing with 1 liter in the of a harmony, and that's what they call the Chuanjiang Haozi. Chuanjiang Haozi is a folk singing form of the 1 liter in harmony produced by boatmen and trackers to boost labor moral and unified labor rhythm. In Chongqing, it has a history of more than 3,000 years. And as just like the Sichuan opera, it was included in the first batch of National Intangible Cultural Heritage List as a kind of work order in the river basin of the Woven Boost area. It's really a long history, so I want you guys to comment on this when you see this Chuanjiang Haozi performance. It was performance by Lao Chuanfu harmony group trip. Actually, it's a trip, and we had this video from Cao Guangyu. He is the only national inheritor of Chuanjiang Haozi in Chongqing. So guys, please watch the video and with our audience and comment on this. Okay, so have you? Because I cannot watch it. I just play it, and I don't know Do you guys have finished watching it? And
we saw it. Yeah, that was really interesting, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your comment on this?
So I guess if you want to parallel the sea shanty, Wellerman, it's got main difference tonally, like a 5-note scale, tone scale, I guess, which is very familiar to me in terms of Chinese music. But it's got that similarity in terms of rhythm, where you can see that that's why you mentioned that it was a working song.
Yeah.
So I could really hear the parallel there between the two. It's really interesting for me because I guess I grew up with those sea shanties, and they were very familiar to me. Not the traditional Chinese ones, obviously, but the ones like the Wellerman that really exploded and became very popular.
Oh.
So it wasn't anything new to me when that happened, but I guess I'm more fascinated with what you just showed because it's something that's different and visually as well. It's really intriguing. There's something that really draws you in. Bit of a storytelling aspect to it, I would assume.
Yeah, they actually add more interaction parts in it, and it's more like it's not just a performance, not just singing form. It's more of an interaction between them and the audience, and with those electric facilities and to decorate the stage and to add the more, how to say this, lighting and design into this whole art form. I think that's the way how they innovate this art form and to inherit this. It's not only just perform it. And I really, glad to. Can I ask? Are you a native in your city, or because you mentioned the sea shanty is like really familiar to you?
Yeah, I grew up all over. I was born in London, but I grew up in New Zealand and Australia. Spent some time in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Places like that. So I'm a little bit all over. But I guess just due to my age, it was something that was very popular when I was a kid. That maybe the people who picked up on that and popularized it are maybe half a generation younger than me and weren't so familiar with it.
Yeah, because Chongqing is also a port city. A city was famous for its docks and parks, just like London. They might have some connections of that, of how people used to live and work in those river basins on their boats. Yeah, so I think that might be the connections between your childhood and Chongqing, I think. So here comes our Xinyu's comments. So I already sent this video to Xinyu, and she saw this and she watched this, and she mentioned about the Haozi elements in the Sichuan opera's art form. Because when we hear about, 就是我们在听 when we are listening to the Sichuan opera singing part, 就是我们在听唱腔的这个部分的时候，我们刚刚在说它里边其实有一些耗子的这个灵感是放在里面的，对吧？
对，
就是
我们川剧也会融入川江耗子的一些元素在某一些特定的剧里面，比如说一些现代戏，我们之前院长刚刚上演的江姐，它的开头就沿用了川江耗子的一部分，就是体现船工和搬运工的那种力量感。因为川江耗子，它其实让我明白在任何一种生活形式下都是可以找到艺术的。可能我觉得那些船工他对于艺术的要求没有那么的高，但是我觉得他们可以通过呐喊的方式。川江耗子一定不是唱的，它是过喊的，它通过对天地呐喊，或者说对黄河流域呐喊，通过这样的方式，一个是可以给他们鼓舞士气，第二个我觉得是可以统一他们的脚步，然后让他们更加整齐划一，劲儿往一处使，然后绳子往一处拉，这样子的话会更加充满力量。而且包括他们喊号子的时候，我感觉应该是可以通过这样的方式去宣泄内心的一些生活的枯燥。你想他们天天船工在船边拉那些东西是多么的枯燥，他们可以通过这样的方式，这样的音乐形式去展现他们枯燥乏味的生活。所以我觉得他们是很聪明的，川江号子也是很有地域特色的这么 一个东西，
Okay.
一个艺术。
Okay, the first part that Joe just shared with us is about there is a really classic play. It's called Jiangjie, of the art center of the Sichuan Opera in Chongqing, and they have this really fascinating beginning of Chuanjiang Haozi, not Chuanjiang Haozi, just Haozi performance. 不是传教号，就是号子嘛，对吧？就是号子 performance at the beginning of the show of the play. The inspiration of the 号子 to Zhou to Qingyu is the art in everywhere of their lives, in their boatmen's lives, and how they're screaming out their how to say frustration, their depression of their lives, of their under beneath their hard work daily life, and they have this emotional breakout, and they wanted to scream out. That's what she wanted to share with us. She said the house is not about singing, it's about screaming it out. I think that's a point. Yeah, it's
Very
about screaming.
By the sounds of it. Yes.
Yeah, I think sometimes we can hear that, we can listen to the screaming some rock and roll music.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes
yes,
rock and roll is about it's about screaming.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask the last question because it's about to end our show today. I wanted to ask, do you think there is a chance or something about the integration of Chongqing's local art, of how Chongqing's local art and Chongqing elements to promote themselves in the Western music industry? Can you give us some advice on that, Richard?
Yeah. Well, I think traditional music will always face some hurdles in terms of fitting with the palette, I guess. I hope we're still alive. In terms of fitting with the palette of popular culture and platforms, one of the biggest movements in terms of music production has been recycling and reproducing and recontextualizing music. So maybe I'll wait for Aiko to come back. I don't want to answer a question without her there. Are you there, Aiko?
Yeah, I think Aiko's there.
I'm still here.
I'm still here. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. So you touched on earlier, you talked about how there were these live performances which didn't alter the script that was there originally. I think that's really important. So during the pandemic, for instance, there was a huge resurgence in terms of live streaming and live performances, and that kind of created a new paradigm for artists to be able to perform live. So I think what the key thing is to retain the authenticity of the traditional Chinese music, keep it in the format that it exists in, but kind of find ways of presenting that with modern platforms to people. One of the ways we touched on the sea shanty, and that was kind of taking something traditional and then reworking it, recycling it to make it fit with a modern audience, and that's one way of doing it. But I think the kind of charm and the interest is presenting these things as they should be. It's so visually striking. I think that's one of the main things I take away from it, and so you want to keep that context around it. But I think it's just finding the right context to present these things with, and there's so many different platforms now that you can find an audience with, and I really like the idea of you mentioned sharing it on Twitter, doing a live stream across multiple countries, which I think is probably the best way forward, and it's just finding an audience that way.
Yeah, because not only in Sichuan opera, I think I've watched more and more plays, not just traditional plays, but also modern plays, imported plays, but acting performance by Chinese actors and Chinese directors, writers of those Western plays, and also Chinese traditional plays. They are all kind of in the way of this live streaming industry. They are all displaying, their shows in the COVID-19 period of time. They are displaying them online. They actually are selling NFTs of this art place. And I simultaneously I've just saw the Shanghai Shanghai Theater Art Center. They sold the 红楼梦's NFTs. Yeah, about the place, about the video of the place online. I think they are actually selling this because they have confidence about the live streaming audience, about how many people wanted to watch the show online. That's really important about social media promoting this traditional arts, and it's really important. And I'm really glad to have you guys here. Though we have prepared for this for a really long time, but I know you guys are really busy on your career, and I'm really glad to have you guys on our show. And I think we have a lot of space to fulfill a lot of on this conversation about how social media can promote artists' work. Really, really important question, and I'm really glad to have some, mature musical industry producer like you to get in this kind of business, because it's actually a new industry, the social network promoting music industry, not just music industry. Yeah, so I think it's really glad to have you guys, have this really professional and producer like you to get involved to this industry, and also traditional artists, but a really young artists, traditional Chinese opera artists like Xin Yu, to get this, to arouse people's awareness of, to use these new platforms and new tech to, upload our content to innovate the music itself. So I think that's really important to have this conversation and the live stream today. And have to say goodbye, guys. And I'm really glad to have you guys here. Thank you, Diane and Richard. Thank you, Xinyu. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching our show. Please like, share, and subscribe to iChongqing's channel on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. And I'm Echo. I'll see you guys next time.
欢迎你们来重庆。
拜拜。